The New England Patriots put an absolute beatdown on the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday night with a 25-0 shutout. The Patriots dominated them from beginning to end in this matchup. And I want to focus on the defense here for New England because New England's defense was absolutely phenomenal in this game from beginning to end. They limited Atlanta's offense to under 200 yards of total offense. And they were able to get a consistent pass rush against Matt Ryan the entire night. And not only was New England's pass rush very good, Matt Judon was one of the standouts from their pass rush. Their secondary was stifling the entire game. New England ended up with 4 interceptions. They got 2 off of Matt Ryan, 1 off of Josh Rosen, and then the last one was off of Felipe Franks. It didn't matter who Atlanta had at the quarterback spot. It's just they could not get anything going against that New England defense. And really, when you look at Atlanta in particular, Atlanta's had a really tough stretch these last 2 games. The last 2 games, they've scored 3 points. And they've given up over 40 to Dallas. And they gave up another 25 to New England in this game from last night. It was a horrendous performance from Atlanta. And when you look at just the sideline dialogue between Matt Ryan, the coaching staff, and the players, you could clearly tell that the frustration that is just mounting for the Atlanta Falcons was so palpable. And they knew that they couldn't do anything. They tried to make adjustments in the second half, and they couldn't sustain any sort of significant drives that led to any points. I mean, they did get into the red zone. They got into the red zone twice against New England. But New England clamped down, and even though that they bent, but they didn't break. Atlanta's offensive line was absolutely atrocious in this game. It almost seemed like every passing play for Matt Ryan, he had no time to throw. Or if he did have time to throw, he had to throw it before the pass rush was eventually going to get to him. And I got to give Matt Ryan credit. I don't know how he completed like 60-65% of his passes in that game, because New England's pass rush was hellacious the entire night. And even despite that, the Falcons had their chances, but they just couldn't capitalize. And you got to give a lot of credit to New England's defense. New England's defense has really been playing phenomenal the last couple weeks. They went, I believe, 17 or 18 drives now where they have not given up a touchdown. They gave up a touchdown in the first drive to Cleveland back in week 10. But since then, they have shut out both the Browns in the second, third, and fourth quarters of that week 10 matchup. And then they shut out the Atlanta Falcons in their week 11 matchup. New England is just a phenomenal team right now. They are really kind of hitting a hot streak right here. They've won 5 straight games. Mac Jones is definitely developing. He's definitely maturing throughout his rookie season. I didn't think that he necessarily had the best game against the Falcons. Did have 1 bad interceptions against them. But outside of that 1 interception, he was playing phenomenal football. He only had like 5 or 6 incompletions the entire game. And you're starting to see just more confidence building from Mac as the season progresses. You could tell he was a little skittish, a little timid in the first couple games of the season, trying to get his bearings right as far as the pace of the NFL goes. But he seems to have gotten a lot more comfortable in these last couple games, and you've really kind of seen him shine in certain moments in these games that he's playing in. I think New England's in a situation where they are gaining confidence every single week. Their defense has been playing phenomenal. Their offense is starting to get it together. But you combine those 2 factors together, this is going to be a very difficult team to play against moving forward. And once again, you got to give credit to Bill Belichick. He has put on some coaching clinics in these last 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, the clinic that he put on against the Cleveland Browns last week was phenomenal, limiting them to 7 points and essentially having Baker have one of his worst games of the entire year. And then you follow it up with the performance and the game plan that he had for the Atlanta Falcons. to be able to limit Atlanta's offense to under 200 yards of total offense, make Matt Ryan look uncomfortable the entire game. The Falcons' run game was non-existent the entire game. Literally, it was a scenario where New England dominated this game from beginning to end, and it was just a masterful game plan from Bill Belichick, and the players carried it out pretty well. New England's never going to have their work cut out. So they play Tennessee next week, and then they play the Bills right after that. So it's going to be a gut check for New England, but 5 straight wins. They're playing really good football right now, and they're definitely a threat in the AFC as far as I'm concerned.